Hey, welcome to episode 16 of We Can't Code, So We Criticize. This is a weekly video game podcast
Whoop
between two
whoop.
friends where we talk about games, talk about gamer news, what we're doing. My name is Ben.
My name is Michael. Didn't skip a beat there.
No, I was all over it. I was prepared for it that time. I was like, no, the show must go on.
Oh,
Yeah, so Mike, how was your week?
it's been alright dealing with house stuff. A new job. New job's going great. Just with my where I'm living at, it's falling apart a bit, so I was being out a lot of time. But besides that, pretty good.
Maybe I should specify. Have you done anything in games this week?
Yes, actually, done a little bit extra VR stuff with you, which was fun. Got to actually try Super Hot and Elite Dangerous. Super Hot is very dangerous to play in VR. If you love your stuff, do not play that in VR because you will break everything in your room or place.
Yep. Yeah. If you remember last podcast, which I mean was 2 weeks ago, we kind of got a little stuck last weekend. But so our previous podcast, I mentioned that if I had an account name for, if I had an account name that I had to put for an online VR game, I would put Fan Destroyer. Well, what ended up happening immediately after that is I showed another person VR. We were playing Robo Recall, and he went to go like throw his gun at a robot. Context doesn't really matter. You do it in the game.
Yep.
So he went to go throw his gun at a robot, and he smashed his hand through my fan's like glass panel or I don't know, whatever
Glass
like,
cover.
Yeah, the cover. I told him he was killing the machines in real life. Yep.
Yeah, but like Super Hot though doesn't give you a border at all of when you're reaching your outside your play zone, so like it's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, Super Hot is it's definitely a play at your own risk kind of game. We tried it one other time in my small like room without setting it up anywhere bigger, and yeah, like I threw my hand once again into my desk, and like I went to go stab someone in the dick, and I threw my hand and just crushed it against my desk. I was like, ow! That guy's dick was pretty hard.
I ran right into your side wall when I was trying to dodge bullets.
Yep.
I actually played the just off my computer. I actually downloaded and played off my computer though. It's fun off the computer.
Super
It's-
Hot?
Yeah, Super Hot. It's kind of
okay.
interesting though, just because time only moves when you move. So when you just want to stand still and let time proceed, and the VR thing, all you gotta do is move your hands up and down. But in the when you play on your laptop, moving the mouse around is just makes you look around. Doesn't speed up time. So it just like you have to like move yourself left and right a bit to shuffle time.
Huh.
So it's kind of it's still fun, but it's kind of interesting how to. It's kind of weird at the same time. It's like, well, I want to stand still and speed up time at the same time. So how do I do that?
So you can like move the camera around it and nothing moves?
Yeah, nothing really moves at all. It's like there's always still like time still technically does move. Like there's like just incredible, like really, really, really slowly.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you just look around, speed doesn't like time doesn't speed up at all.
Yeah. Interesting. And then so you can move around like the map in that game cuz in the VR version you kind of just have like a setup. You just stay in one spot.
Yeah, and the in the computer version, you have to move around the level, which is really fun to do.
Okay. So like it doesn't warp you. You actually go through the whole building?
Yeah, you walk around and all that stuff, which is really nice. You jump over bars and all. You do like a bar, like you're in a bar, where you grab drinks at.
Oh, wait. What is a bar, Mike?
Well, I know because I realized like when I say you jump over a bar, I'm like,
You know, the place that you find your dad at 2 in the morning.
Shut up, Mike. Beating your mom. Oh, good times.
The place you always get kicked out of bed. No, leave me alone, Mike.
I don't have a problem. This is
But
an intervention.
It's pretty wild though, because that almost feels like two different games: Super
Yeah.
Hot and then Super Hot VR. Because one is pretty much the VR you stand still, the other one you can move around. Like that brings a whole lot of other tactics into
Yeah,
the game.
it's a lot of fun. Like I said, the only issue is that I kind of like the non VR more, just because it's you move around all that stuff. The only issue is that when you want to speed up time without moving, it's kind of awkward a bit. But that's a very, very, very tiny problem.
Yeah.
In the end, I think that the non-VR is definitely more fun. And it's cool too because after, I don't know if it does it in the VR thing, but after you're done, it shows you, like, it replays what you did in normal time, which is cool.
Oh, that does sound cool.
Yeah, so like I'm doing the quote campaign end quote thing, and it's really fun and interesting. I'm enjoying it. I played the Elite Dangerous though VR was really cool. I played that at your place.
Yeah, so I picked up Elite Dangerous with the first couple games I got, and then the controls are kind of finicky to get into it, and I've never played Elite Dangerous, so on top of learning the hand controls, I also was just unfamiliar with this extremely complicated game.
Yeah.
Mike, on the other hand, has actually had experience playing Elite Dangerous.
I play Elite Dangerous on the computer version a lot. It's super fun. It's one of those games though where you have to put a lot of time into it because my main goal was to buy another ship, and it just like there's still it's still really complicated how to get like real money quickly to buy other ships, but like I put so many good hours into it, and I feel that you can play off your keyboard and mouse, but I think it's way better to play off, especially in combat. Well, like to better clarify, it's better to play combat mode with an Xbox 360 controller. And the VR, it's even better than the VR still, because in the VR, there's no actually hand motion at all. You just use the controllers. So like, right? You don't use your hands to press buttons, all that stuff.
It's not, the motion controls don't matter, but it's all just button responses. So like just playing Elite Dangerous in VR, you're really only playing with the headset, essentially.
Yeah.
Moving your hands doesn't do anything.
But that is like, I would love to play with the headset and the 360 controller, just because the ability to look up is so useful in combat. Because when you're in your cockpit, you have a full view up, left, right. You have basically a full spectrum view outside. And a lot of times in combat, it just makes a difference to be able to just look up to see which directions they're turning after they go above you, and it's great.
Yeah.
But besides,
I just think the game's really atmospheric.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's beautiful, and it was great to do a warp and to do a warp drive and to dock in VR. That was so cool.
Yeah.
But definitely the controller wise in VR is not good. So if you ever get a VR set and want to do Elite Dangerous, I suggest using a 360 controller.
Yeah, it's cool that the feature's there, but it's definitely not, like, polished out.
Yeah.
I mean...
The thing that's kind of funny, too, though, is that I also use the keyboard when I'm not in combat to initiate, to do it quicker, to initiate overdrives and all the other stuff that I don't need to do in combat. So,
yeah.
It's, it's kind of interesting.
They need to... So this is an idea that I had that I thought was really cool. They need to make a VR-compatible keyboard where, like, I don't have to see my hands floating, but essentially I need to be able to see my keyboard when I'm playing VR. So the same way that on the Oculus Rift, if you hover your hand over the button, like, if you hold the button but you don't hold it down, if your hand's just resting on the button is a better way to put it, like, your animation, the button, it'll light up, or, like, if you see your hands, you'll see your hand, like, resting in that same spot.
Well, they actually have sensors in those things to see where your fingers are positioned, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, it's heat sensitive, or like, it's pressure sensitive, where even if you're not pressing on a button, but your hand's resting on it versus your hand's off of it, the animation for your hand changes. It would be cool if a keyboard, depending on where your hands were sitting on the keyboard or your fingers, you could tell which buttons your hand was on, and then you could be able to type using your keyboard in VR.
That would be amazing. I would absolutely love that.
Yeah. Dude, let's just... God, fuck this podcast. We should just make that. How much fucking money would we make?
Oh, dude.
It would be essentially a heat-sensitive keyboard.
That'd be awesome.
Fucking bitches everywhere, bud. I mean, yeah.
I mean, they're already coming up with the keyboard that I really want, where it's like... You know when you play driving games, there's either just extreme go on the keyboard or just stop?
Yeah.
They're actually making, like, pressurized things so you actually have the ability to ease in turns and all that stuff. I'm like, I want that.
That's cool.
Because the regular controller, just like, to be accurate, in analog, it will always destroy a keyboard in driving-wise, no matter what.
Yeah.
Or in any type of controlling a vehicle-wise. It just, no matter what, it's always better than a keyboard. You just can't beat it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the major flaw of the keyboard.
Well, yeah, so, I mean, this is a good transition into our top 5. I still have other games to talk about, but yeah, like, we can kind of dive a little bit into the top 5, just talking about controllers in general. But no, so like yeah, the keyboard gives you a lot of opportunity to like configure and to like it's complex, but it has a bunch of buttons and you can do a lot with it. But in terms of accuracy, that's where it comes off. You can't. A button is it's a 0 or a 1. The button's either pressed or not pressed. In comparison to like an analog stick or a trigger on your controller, like there's a pressure sense to that.
Yep.
So I get you. That would be pretty wild. I can't imagine how that would even look on a keyboard.
Yeah, I just remember being talked. I never actually wanted to fully look into it though. But yeah, so I did the Elite Dangerous with that, and then I also downloaded Salt and Sanctuary. I don't remember if you ever played that game.
Okay. I'll let you get into it, but I do want to quickly say, so Salt and Sanctuary, I downloaded it, crashes on my computer every time I open it.
Really?
Yeah.
It works fine on mine. It's 2D Dark Souls style, slow combat, dodge rolling.
Are you able to record it? Like, are you using any recording?
No, I was more of just playing because the guys who made Salt and Sanctuary also made the Dishwasher Vampire Smile. And
wait, what?
Yeah, they made another game called The Dishwasher Vampire Smile. I love that game.
Dishwasher?
It's a hack and slack 2D game. It's much more faster paced than Salt and Sanctuary. It's just 2D. It's not open world like Salt and Sanctuary is. It's just a nice story to it, really fun, and you get points like in Devil May Cry. The more damage you do in the short amount of time, the more points you get, the higher combos and all that stuff.
I want to find this game while you're talking. So what's it called? Dishwasher?
The Dishwasher Vampire Smile. It is super fun. I got it when it was one of my favorite things I downloaded on my Xbox 360, and I played that game nonstop on it. It's a pretty old game. It came out, it came out, that was released on the PC, I guess, in 2017, because I know it's older than that. It's way older than the 2017.
This looks pretty wild.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It has a dark style to it, but the music in it is freaking good too. I just love when the music is playing and you just go on this killing spree. It's so much fun. And you just kill multiple enemies in an area, and after they're all dead, you move on to the next area, technically, all that stuff. And it's a lot of fun. And I think it's something that a lot of people just enjoy it. It's a simple game.
Okay, so it's not an old game. It came out last year in May.
I played it on, that's like the PC release.
Yeah, initial release date is April 6, 2011. Okay,
yeah.
My bad.
No, yeah. No, on here, I'm looking on the Steam page too. It says 2017. I'm like, nope, it's way older than that. Because I remember playing that. Is one of the first things, like one of the first games I ever downloaded off of like the Xbox Store or Microsoft Store onto my Xbox.
Yeah.
And man, that was one of my favorite purchases I ever made. I just destroyed that game, played it nonstop. So I saw like Salt and Sanctuary on here, and I saw that they made that the same people made, they made Salt and Sanctuary. So yeah, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna give it a go. It was on sale, so I finally downloaded it. Way slower pace. It's exactly like Dark Souls, when you have to save your stamina, be careful with it. If you block, it eats up stamina and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's what people were saying. Is it's just a 2D. I mean, everyone says, oh, it's the blank of Dark Souls, or it's the Dark Souls of blank.
But it really is.
This game legitimately, it's like a shameless copy paste in 2D, but that's not a bad thing. They did a good job with it.
Because it's the same thing when you choose your classes. Like, you can choose to be a knight, a wizard, all this other stuff. The same type of classes you can pick in Dark Souls.
Yeah.
And I'm not really, honestly, I think Dark Souls is a good game, but I'm not really a fan of it. So I'm not a fan really of Salt and Sanctuary. But it's a really well-made game. It's open world, like Dark Souls. You choose your paths you want to take. It doesn't really give you any details at all where to go, just like Dark Souls does, which I think is a nice touch and all that, but once again, it's just not my cup of tea.
Sure.
And then also this week, though, I watched all the Lord of the Rings, movies, with except for the Hobbits, of course. The Hobbit movies.
Of course.
But yeah, we just finished that yesterday, and yeah, that's all I really did this week, though.
Huh. Were they the extended editions?
No, God, no. The last one, without even the non-extended version for the last one, Return of the King, is 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Jesus.
And that's not the extended version. It's nuts.
Yeah, I don't know. There was
and my girlfriend was not happy about it because she I kind of agree that the Return of the King is not as good as the first one.
Fellowship.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's still a good movie, but not good enough. It's maybe not as good enough to sit through 3 hours of it.
I like the movies. They're good, but they definitely last way too long.
Yeah. I get a lot of hate for saying that, but it's not like I regret watching it. But when you reach the end, I was kind of like especially my girlfriend. She was going like, "Let's just get this over with already. Stop putting this crap in here. Just get it over with."
Well, that's my thing. Is like, okay, so I was having this conversation with a couple guys the other day, and like, Star Wars is the original trilogy is great because it's just like, it's a good story. There's three, like, it's a nice sizable, it's 3 movies, and they're all like a good amount of time, So
Yeah.
like, on the other sides of the spectrum, you have Harry Potter, which is a sizable, like, each movie is only like 2 hours, hour and a half, whatever. It's short.
Yeah.
But the only thing is that there's 8 of them. Well, Lord of the Rings on the other side, there's 3 movies, but they're all like 14 hours each with bonus features and extended edition bullshit, whatever. Like, Star Wars is super fucking good because they just told a great story in a nice, timely fashion, and then they didn't have to like force feed you everything on the side. I mean,
Yeah.
It was like each movie started with a fucking thing of rolling text to be like, hey, this is all the bullshit that like we're gonna save you 45 minutes of exposition here.
Yeah, that is true. And yet they still gave us the exposition, which not many people liked in the end.
Yeah, like, it's cool that. Sorry, to loop back around to Lord of the Rings though,
No, go
like,
for it.
I like the Lord of the Rings a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't watch the Lord of the Rings too often. In
Neither do I.
comparison, like, I don't rewatch a ton of movies too often, but I've definitely seen Star Wars more times than I've seen the Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's a pace thing, and it's hard to like look at that. It's hard to be like, I'm just gonna watch one Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Or like one Lord of the... Like, I feel like watching The Two Towers today. Yeah, right.
Yeah, no.
You're watching all 3 of them.
Yeah, this is like we watched them one and none because that's all you can do.
Yeah.
But the first one is still really good because that's when my girlfriend's like, "Let's watch the other ones now." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then that's when you realize that the first one's really good. The other ones are not as nearly as good as the first one. I mean, they're not bad, but the first one just really sells it to you. But then after you sit through the other 2, it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's a lot of just, like you just said, just bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, like, they do a good job of setting up the characters and all that, and then a lot of the politics comes into it between, like, what's the place, Rohan?
Yeah, Rohan and
Isengard.
I think so.
Isengard.
I just saw it and I don't remember it because you just don't care.
Lord, out of like the couple people that listen to this podcast, we've got one guy that's like a Lord of the Rings fanatic. He's like, how do you not know this?
Well, he's read the book though, so he actually knows the real details behind them.
Well, let's just like purposefully get facts wrong in our podcast every once in a while. We'll be like, yeah, so Frabbit's a Hodo, and he goes over to the Shire, and someone's like, I'm gonna fucking murder you. His name's Darth Mauler.
Yeah. Yeah, the main character in all the Lord of the Rings is just Baggins.
There's that wizard, his name's Gonzo. Someone's like, where the fuck are these guys? They deserve to die. No, but I don't know. Like, hats off for watching. Like, that is honestly, that's like a fucking marathon in general. Like, you have to like pace yourself. You
have to pace yourself to them. Like you said though, in the Star Wars movies, you don't need to pace yourself. But in Lord of the Rings, you gotta fucking do that.
Yeah, you could finish up work and watch all 3 or Star Wars movies like after work. It would be tough, but it's plausible.
Yeah.
Point is, you can't just like get home from work and be like, I feel like watching every single Lord of the Rings tonight or every single Harry Potter tonight.
That doesn't work at all. They just like, holy crap. And just like the Return of the King, 3 hours and 20 minutes. It's like, fuck. We saw that. It's like, well, we're not doing anything the rest of the day.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck me.
That's kind of cool too, actually. Okay, so I know this started with Lord of the Rings, but I think it's cool that Star Wars, even though it is technically 8 movies, I mean, well, 9 if you include Rogue One, and then also they got all those other spin-offs and shit coming out. Like, it's crazy to think that that's so many fucking movies, and yet it doesn't ever feel over intimidating because it tells 3 different stories in 3 movie increments. Like, it always feels very portion sized.
Yeah, I
Does
totally
that make
agree.
sense?
And like that's the issue I think with the Lord of the Rings. It kind of just ends, and then like the problem with the second one, it just starts you just in the most random spot. I feel like. The Two Towers.
Okay.
It just like all of a sudden you just get these like you don't really get much story of the first one, and just like it just starts and you just see the Two Towers. And if you don't see the first one, you're kind of be like you're just shit out of luck to fully understand what the hell's going on.
Yeah,
That's why I kind of had a good laugh out of it. I mean, it's still a good movie, but you have to watch the first one to even understand the beginning of the second one.
The Two Towers really... I haven't seen it in like 10 years. I'm not even going to lie to you there. Like, that's how long I haven't seen the movie because it's over intimidating. But, yeah, if I remember correctly, like, the Two Towers, there was all this anticipation. My my family was really big into the movies when they were coming out. And I remember as we were watching them in the theaters, we're like, oh, we're going to see Shelob the spider in this movie and, like, the Twin Towers, and we're going to see, like, this and that. And the Two Towers, yeah. Whatever, they like, the Twin Towers, like 9/11. Sorry, that's a whole other tangent I don't want to get into. There's no way that no one's made that joke before.
So good, though.
But, like, they set up so much in the Two Towers, and then... it all just kind of got held off until the third movie, it felt like. If you don't think so? I haven't seen it in a while, but the second one felt very slow, like it was all build up.
Maybe because like it was build up for people who read the book, but since I never read the book, there was really no build up in the second one, I felt like.
Yeah.
I felt like that the second one still ended pretty goodly and started... like, the problem I had with it, is, it's not really a problem, I just find it funny, is that you have to watch the first one to watch the second one, which it's a trilogy movie, so it makes sense to watch the first one.
And if you're going to watch the first and the second, you may as well watch the third.
But I guess that's a good thing with, like, that is, like, true with Star Wars, though, like you said, though. What's so nice about it is it just gives you exposition in the beginning and just text, and then it just starts it, and you know what's going on if you read the bloody text.
Yeah. No, anyway, yeah, sorry, we just went off on, like, a 20-minute Star Wars, Lord of the Rings tangent there, but no,
But yeah, that was my week, though, and it was still fun, though. I had still a lot of fun with it. But just realizing, though, that we didn't watch the extended versions, we were like, fuck. It's just like, I think like the extended version adds an hour to each of them, doesn't it?
It adds so much. I mean, if I remember correctly, there was like a box set edition, and someone was saying it's like 13 hours to get through all of it.
Fuck. It just...
And that's like maybe with the bonus features on top of it, but the movies are just like stupid long.
Yeah.
There's this whole scene where in the third...
But nothing feels rushed, which is kind of a nice sense in a way. But, there was a show that I watched. It was with my girlfriend. You can keep on talking. I want to look it up, though. But, yeah, they do a great job of telling a story while... You know... Yeah, sorry. It's just one of those... I think it was Camelot or something like that, but...
Camelot? Okay.
Yeah, but what I liked about the movie, though, is that... You know how it's just like... You see these people going on a trip together, then all of a sudden they're talking about what they're going to do. It's like... Shouldn't this already been told like half like in the beginning of the trip, but you just start talking about halfway during your trip all of a sudden? You ever notice that in some movies?
I've never seen the movie Camelot.
No, but there's some movies that like, you know, it's like, let me tell you on the way, and then like they're halfway their destination, and then they just start talking about what they're doing, like what they're actually planning on doing. It's like, so what were you doing in the beginning of the part of the trip? Like, why did you just say this to begin with?
We'll figure it out.
And then what they did in this other movie is like they splice the scenes together. So the guy tells the story, and as he's telling the story, you see them actually doing the plan and all that stuff, which I thought was really cool. And I just thought it was a great way to to explain a plan and also show them doing it at the same time without wasting the viewer's time at all, but still being really cool to watch while it does it. And not many movies do that, which I noticed. They always just, like, when they try to explain a plan, they kind of do it in the most awkward way.
Yeah.
In a movie. But yeah, it's just a random thing.
Alright. Well, okay, so the last thing I did, once again, this is kind of becoming a weekly thing. I'm trying not to trudge on it too much, but I did play Zelda Breath of the Wild a little bit more.
Oh yeah, did you finish it?
No way. So,
still fun?
Yeah, it's good. So kind of like I guess I'll just continue to kind of like talk about my experience through it. It's getting like when I first started, I wasn't that happy. When I played the second time and I started to explore, it was really cool. Like it's cool to just like walk around and explore shit. But it's getting to the point now where I've told myself like I have to get to this destination. Like there's no more fucking around. There's too much shit to do in between. So like Initially, I was like, explore everything, and now, like, there's a big cavern over there, and I was like, I don't got fucking time for that big fucking cavern. I'm going, the Gorons need my help or some shit. But that's fun. Like, I'll try to, like, mark on my map. You get, like, 5 markers that you can put on the map to, like, revisit. And then, like, of course, you like, put the marker down, And then you're like, of course, you're on the other side of the map now, and you're like, well, I'm not gonna fucking go back there.
Yeah.
So, and then I ran out of markers. You could have 5 at the most in a game
wow.
that's like 40 hours minimum. Like, that's going to be enough. They're like, yeah, 5 is a good rounded number. Whatever. We've got a million things to do in this game.
Does it always show up on your screen or only in your map?
It's always on your mini-map.
Okay, cool.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, I don't need to get into it. But, yeah, it's just 5 markers on the map. But, let's see. I beat 2 more dungeons, so I'm 3 out of the 4 dungeons in. There's also the sword that you have to collect in the game, and I went to go find the sword, but, like, you have to be a certain strength to pull it out.
Oh.
It's weird.
You're not the chosen one until you lift some more.
Yeah.
Can you even lift, bro?
Well, they started out, okay, Link is the hero of time. You've always been, like, every single game of Zelda is like,
Yeah.
oh, you're the hero of time, you awaken. So, like, you were a hero beforehand, and then you come back.
Yeah.
So they're trying to explain, like, why you have to be... Because you can go anywhere right off the bat in the game, there has to be some limitations. Or else you can just really, like, wake up from sleep, 5 minutes into the game, go get the sword.
And go kill the main boss.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even need the fucking... I don't know. I heard you can just go straight to Ganon and get spanked by him. But, I mean, like, the funny thing is that you can just go to the boss. You know, the first thing is
I'm
just...
here with a stick. I'm gonna kick your ass.
And he's like, oh, fuck, my weakness. Wood. Timber. So to make it so you can't get the sword, they have this story where they're like, oh, you were powerful to wield it back in the day, but I don't know if you can now.
You've been sleeping for way too long.
Yeah, it's such a weird story. It's I'm not gonna criticize the well, I guess we can't code so we criticize. I'm not gonna criticize that hard, like a Zelda plotline. I mean, of course it's gonna have its fucking holes in it, but it's just funny that, like, I was able to hold this sword before and now I can't. Why? You know?
I just like the guy points over, there's a gym over there. There's a membership fee though.
You might want to buy some yoga pants, you little bitch.
It's like you just see Link buy this sword, just like lifting dumbbells, and that's it, right? So you can finally pick up the sword.
He's standing next to the Sword of Time, lifting a dumbbell. He's like, just 5,000 more of these.
I'm good to go.
Just a couple more 1,000 hammer curls, and we're good.
Just making protein shakes and shit. Says him going to adventures, like, dude, we need your help. It's like, nah, gotta drink my protein.
Just like taking steroids and shit. Link, you've gone out of control. I'm the hero of time, bitch!
He just shows up again, just like buff as fuck. It's like, oh shit. Just looks like fucking Conan. That's too good.
But,
so who tells you that you're not strong enough to lift it?
It's a tree. this fucking tree is like, you're a bitch. Because it's in the Lost Woods, and so it's a tree that's like, oh, maybe you're not strong enough. Maybe
called out by a fucking tree.
I know, the tree's telling me I'm not strong enough. Well, you can't even fucking move, for starters, tree.
Fuck you. Oh, it's so fucking funny.
So, yeah. So yeah, that's Zelda for like this episode of in Breath of the Wild.
The tree called me a little bitch.
I can't fucking lift the sword out of the goddamn pedestal stone thing, whatever.
Oh fuck. Too good.
Yeah.
Play anything else besides VR too?
It was Super Hot and Breath of the Wild mainly. So this was on my top 5 movies of the year, but I also I bought the Blu-ray and rewatched Logan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I haven't bought a movie in like 5 years or something stupid. I obviously I pirate a lot, but this movie I really liked, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to see some of the bonus features of this.
Yeah,
and
bonus features.
I didn't get around to it yet. I had to like refresh. You know, you're gonna watch the movie as an original first.
You gotta be careful though, because sometimes they have movie commentaries in them. And it's like a thing you just watch and like, well, not gonna watch it while the movie's playing on. So
I kind of want to see the commentary though. Like,
no, they're great. I love commentaries in movies.
Oh, okay.
I think they're really fun. I'm just saying it's like not to like watch that. That's all they have. But I'm just saying like, oh, I want to refresh my memory and watch it. And I'm like, sometimes like it's a good bonus feature, but you have to. It's like during the movie though, all that stuff they talk during the movie, which I like a lot.
Yeah, that was one of the big things I wanted to do. Is I wanted to watch the commentary, and then I also wanted to see like any additional bonus features, whatever. But I mean, it came out last February, Logan, and so it was only $15, and I was like, okay, that's pretty justifiable.
Yeah, $15 is not bad at all. If I really wanted the movie, I'd pay $15 is my limit. If I really want it in my movie collection, and I can't wait. But I usually go down to 10. But we talked about this in our last podcast.
Yeah. Either way, though, I mean, it was just kind of cool that we talked about it, and then I saw it, and I was like, you know what, this is a good enough movie. Like sometimes, I don't know, I love since we've been talking about movies, I'm like really jealous of your DVD collection now.
I like it. Yeah, I love that you're getting into it, dude. I want more people to have movie collections. Yeah. I think it's great to have.
The thing is, I want to have like legitimate like movie collect. I don't want to have like the double movies in one DVD. I want to have like.
No, I totally agree. I'm the same way too.
It's not like how many movies you can cram into a single disc. It's like a show, you know.
Yeah.
It's like owning. It's like why I don't buy digital games unless I have to. Like I've on my PlayStation, like on my consoles, I've almost bought like 0 digital games if they have a physical copy. It feels right.
The one thing I hate though about freaking Blu-ray DVDs is that they put trailers that sometimes they try to make you watch in them. Which I think is bullshit.
Isn't that so funny though?
It's like I just bought this movie. This movie belongs to me. Yet you're forcing me to watch a trailer.
Yeah, but I mean, on top of that too, like how relevant is that trailer for the movie going to be? That's the funniest
some Blu-rays can update, so they can update your trailers too. I shit you not.
What movie does that? That's crazy.
I remember seeing that once. But yeah, it's weird. I don't think many do that now, but
that's crazy.
But it drives me up the wall, and it might actually stop me from buying Blu-rays in the future and just going back to regular DVDs. Just I don't know, but so far, like a lot of them let me skip. There was one that didn't allow me to skip some. Like I had to skip each one individually. Sometimes it's really weird. It's stupid because like sometimes a lot of them let you hit disc menu and it takes you straight then to the menu thing and all that stuff. But one of them I had to constantly hit the skip button out of every trailer and it's just stupid.
Dang.
Yeah, I know. It's really frustrating. And I don't think I brought it up in the last one, but it's the one thing I fucking hate about Blu-rays. It's just like, hey, watch this trailer now of this movie you fucking bought, so now you own. So fork you and just like watch these trailers. It's like, how much money did you get paid to put these trailers on your DVD? I hope I can start seeing a discount so I'm not paying $20 for them.
Yeah.
It's just bullshit.
Huh.
I don't mind it when they're in the like the extra options like trailers or something like that for their other movies they made. That's fine. But don't make me sit there when I start the movie up.
Yeah.
Dicks.
No, I can understand that.
Just side tangent.
Yeah, so that was the rest of my week though. Is so Logan, Super Hot VR, and then Breath of the Wild, obviously going well. All right, so let's move on to our top 5.
Yeah, and our top 5s are controllers. Last time Ben started, so I'm going to start this time.
Yeah, and so this is just basic game controllers in your hand. What's the most comfortable? What did the best job?
Yeah.
Etc. I mean, this is a pretty straightforward top 5, honestly.
No, yeah, it is. My number 5 is, we brought this up, is the keyboard. It is great for its ability to give you so many options of button press, and because it's usually for PCs, you can customize what buttons, your key layout in the end, what you want to do. Mm-hmm. The mouse makes you super accurate for first-person shooters and makes it easier to navigate things a lot faster, which is nice. And no matter what, it's a proven fact that a keyboard is always going to dominate a person using a controller in first-person shooters and all that stuff. But it's nice and fluent, but as we talked before, it has lots of issues. One of those issues for me, though, is that, this is why it's on my number 5, though, is that there's so many buttons to press and all that stuff. And a lot of times, at least for me, I guess you can call me a noob or an idiot, but I get into a panic mode and then shift my hand over a little bit, and next thing you know, I'm like in chat mode typing a bunch of gibberish because I just moved my hand slightly over.
Yeah, you noob.
And of course, that's one of my major issues with it. I'm getting better as I play more first-person shooters, or I should just clarify, as I'm playing more PUBG. But another issue with it is driving. It is horrible to drive in, or just any type of control, any type of vehicle. Keyboard is just not even close to bloody a controller or just analog sticks. There's just no competing to, as we said in the Gameless podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I made the list though just because of this versatility of just having so many buttons on and the ability to configure a lot of your stuff a lot easier too. It's very nice and all that stuff, and I love it. And since I use a keyboard too a lot of times for work, all that stuff, it's just nice. It feels normal for me. So that's my number 5 is the keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
My number 4 is the Game Boy Advance first version. That fit so comfortable in my hand. It was nice and wide, and just holding it just felt right in me. The button layout was perfect, and it was one of the first few controllers that I ever used that was like, finally, something that can fit in my big hands, because I always felt like a lot of controllers were just too small for me to use.
Yeah, the Game Boy Advance was a lot wider.
Yeah, the first one, what I'm talking about is like the purple rectangular one.
Yep.
Yeah, I just absolutely loved it. And when the newer ones came out, I just stuck with my first one, because like, those are too small for me. I like this. My fingers don't touch or anything like that. And that's why I absolutely loved it. It was responsive, easy to use, and that actually leads into my number 4, which is actually the Switch.
Your number 3.
Number 3, sorry. Number 4 was the Game Boy Advance. Yeah, number 3 is the Switch in the handheld mode. Because once again, it's nice and wide. It feels so nice. It's lightweight too, even though you have a screen in it.
The Nintendo Switch.
Nintendo Switch, when you have it in handheld mode with a screen attached to it, it feels so comfortable too. Like nothing's jagging me. Everything's nice and easy. I mean, that's why, because like even with the Game Boy Advance, it still kind of jagged my hands a bit just with the edges, but the Switch just feels so right in my hands and comfortable to hold. The analog sticks are so nice. The button layouts are perfect. They're responsive too. The triggers are wonderfully sized too on it. I never have an issue ever when I'm holding a handheld. I am not a fan though of the makeup one. You know, they give you that plastic controller holder thing where you can make your own controller.
Yeah.
That thing that they give you, not so good. I never used the Pro controller yet though. I'm thinking about picking it up.
Pro controller, yeah, I was thinking about getting at least one of those myself. But once again, it's so awkward to have like 3 controllers then, you know, if people are coming over.
That is awkward. I definitely need to buy another 2 set controllers though. I mean, it's nice to have just at least what I mean by the 2 set is like, you know, the extra handheld things that you slide onto it.
I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, if you're having people come over, it's so easy because it's 2 controllers for every person that comes over. I was thinking about getting 4 controllers for it, but I really don't need them. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. But no, I get you.
But yeah, so that's my number 3. So like once again, it's the PC. Once again, it would have been way higher, but there is the downsides kick it pretty darn low for me, at least for me. Sorry if you love it so much, but I can see what's great about it, and it has these great features. But for me, I also want to go for comfort too as well. So that's why it's down to the bottom. Then there's the Game Boy Advance, the first version or the purple version. Mm-hmm. Great, wonderful thing, and the Switch handheld is just a more advanced version of it, just even better because it adds freaking analog sticks, and they're great too. Those analog sticks are nice.
Yeah.
And so yeah, those are my bottom 3. What about you?
Well, your list and my list are actually kind of close. So for my number 5, I just did the basic Game Boy.
Oh yeah.
So initially I had the Game Boy Color for a couple days when I was thinking about this list, but the more I thought about it, the Game Boy Color was really nice for like when I was a kid. But I think, like, because it was skinnier, you know?
It was skinnier.
But I think, like, if I was to try the controller again right now, I would want the same button layout, but I would want it a bit beefier. And so in that case, I think just a normal Game Boy, like, I think that would fit for someone that's not, you know,
I totally agree with
preteen or something.
I still have my Game Boys, and I hold both of them. The Game Boy feels a lot more comfortable in my hands now than Game Boy Advance. Game Boy Advance, like you said, would be great. The Game Boy Color, sorry. The Game Boy Color. You know, Game Boy Color is great as a child because you have small hands, but the Game Boy, the first version, great.
Yeah, like, I mean, right now I'm holding my phone with 2 hands, just like trying to get an impression of what that would feel like. And yeah, like, even though my phone's a lot skinnier than a Game Boy Color, it's still like really cramped in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
That's
to have like, I think in the sense of like late 80s technology, whenever the Game Boy came out, it was like 90, 91, something like that. But I think that thickness and kind of that retro feel, the fact that they had to make it bigger, not only aesthetically looks fucking dope, but also, I mean, just like I bet it felt more comfortable. It probably felt better. I only played a regular Game Boy for like a year or two before I got a Game Boy Color, and then I played the shit out of that. But so I can hardly remember just playing on a normal Game Boy. But thinking back to it, I think that one right now would be more comfortable with like my man hands.
Yeah, my manly hands.
The reason that our lists are so similar is because I've got a handheld like you did, and then also my number 4 is mouse and keyboard.
Yep.
And I don't have to repeat everything that Mike said, so I'll just quickly say that there's some things it did good, there's some things that it doesn't do well. It does a lot more better than worse.
Yeah.
Point and click adventures, text based. If there's heavy like button management, all good for mouse and keyboard. If you're clicking like specifically things on the screen, you know, obviously I mentioned point and click adventures or something like that.
Much faster to do that than with the analog stick.
And menus, organizing with menus, mouse and keyboard's easiest. So I don't have to stick on that too much, but yeah. So that some things it does really well, and then just a handful of things that it sucks at. My number 3 is interesting. So I kind of felt like there was a little bit of a bias to this because it's so like recent in my mind, but I really like the Oculus Rift controllers.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking about it, and
they are comfortable.
Yeah, like it does feel comfortable, and I mean reaching out and grabbing things and throwing things, like you have to treat it as though your body movement is the control. You know, to reach out and grab something, that movement in a normal game, you would have to like walk forward, look at the object, grab it. Like your body movement and like the natural like dodge the bullet, you know, as you sway to the left or sway to the right. Like that is the movement. Even though it's your movement, it's still it's still picked up through the controller. So in that sense, I find it very comfortable. The few buttons that has make a lot of sense where, you know, one is to point, one is to grab, one is to select things on a menu. It works. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's my number 3. Once again, kind of like the mouse and keyboard, there's things it does great, but there's other things that suck. For example, if you've got a screen in front of you and you're trying to like click buttons on that screen, it's really hard to be precise because you can't physically click anything. Like a mouse and keyboard, like, you know, you can click a button and be like, I know I clicked that.
Yeah.
Versus if you're like, you know, going to click a button in virtual reality, you reach forward and you're like, did I hit that? Cause
it's like a touchscreen. Is it actually processing it or not?
Yeah, because you don't, like, you're hitting, in real life, you're hitting nothing. So you're like, okay, hopefully that registered.
Yeah.
But maybe it didn't, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum of mouse and keyboard. Is that the controls are really easy. But once again, it also has there's things it does right. There's a couple things it can't do well at all. Like a point and click adventure with Oculus Rift or something, it would be so fucking hard to do.
Yeah.
Instead, like if you're looking forward and like pointing at shit, like accuracy is tough because your hand naturally like shakes a little bit to point across the room. You know, like you can't like keep your hand focused. There's always going to be a little bit of jitter. Mouse and keyboard, it's pretty easy to like just take your hand off the mouse and then it doesn't move around or anything.
Yeah.
Or to like, you know, increase the sensitivity of your mouse or whatever. So yeah, they're kind of like two opposite sides of that. So my number 5 to repeat is the original Game Boy. It was big, beefy. Like I felt like I was never gonna drop it when it was in my hand. And obviously too, that thing was like made to fucking last. Old school technology like that.
I still have mine. They still work.
I had a friend that painted his, and like we were fucking young. Like paint got everywhere, like inside every crevice. The thing still fucking ran.
It's beautiful. I love it. It's great.
I mean, like, I don't know. I can't imagine like painting your Nintendo Switch and still expecting like the hand controllers to slide in nicely or something. I mean, that it would bog up the system so much. So number 5 is Game Boy. Number 4 is mouse and keyboard for, you know, pinpoint accuracy for like, and for versatility as well. But it does a couple things wrong. And then Oculus Rift for pretty much the exact same reason, but on the opposite side of the spectrum. It does other things really well, but you know, mouse and keyboard might be better for Oculus and vice versa. I kind of worded that weird at the end there, but whatever.
It's all good.
Mike, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is the PS4 controller. At first, did not like I was not comfortable with the PS1 or the PS2 controller, but the PS4 controller just bloody nailed it right. It feels great. I absolutely love it. It's like the same thing with the Nintendo Switch. Everything was responsive. It's great. I love the bumpers, the triggers. It fit comfortably in my hand. The button layout was simple, easy to do. I love it that they kept the analog thing nice and big too. I love the thumb pad. Love thumb pads. I don't know why, but I like having them in there. They always are great for item select and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did like the touchpad sensor. I thought that was a really nice thing to add to it. You know, like that little motion sensor thing they have in the center of it.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. But yeah, that's my number 2.
Well, so once again, our list kind of maintained the same, a little bit of the sameness. I actually like the PS3 controller for my number 2.
Really?
So I want to talk about 2 things that you mentioned. First, we'll start with the PlayStation controller, and then there's something else that you touched on I want to circle back to. So I wasn't a big fan of the touchscreen. It seems like a cool idea, but I have used it in one game.
Yeah.
It just seems like it takes up so much real estate on the controller, and for no one to use it, that's what bothers me.
See, I disagree because, what else would be there? What else, because all that was there originally from all of them was just start and select. That was the only thing they ever had there during with all the other the PlayStation controllers.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that there's nothing there in comparison to, if a game doesn't use it, it doesn't, mess something up if you accidentally touch it. I get that, but it still bothers me. A controller, how I've been describing on my list is, every button has a point, and they all make sense, and you all use them. The PS4 was going to be my number 2, but it just has this big useless button on there, and if you were using it for at least 50% of the games or something, I wouldn't have nearly an issue. But the point is I've played maybe one game that uses it, and it just seems useless, you know?
Yeah, but it's the same thing with the select button. Now, the select button you basically never use at all. It's always a start button. The select button usually never did anything.
Maybe, but Breath of the Wild, one is the start button's to do saving, the select button's to do inventory check or something. There are games that can utilize it decently. So that was... I just wanted to touch on that because that was my thing. PS3 controller, also I really like that you can easily tell who's player 1, who's player 2. PS4, it has the light on the back, and player 1 is red, player 2 is blue. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me. You can't just be who am I? I don't know. What number is your controller?
That is pretty annoying to how bright it is because it's so bright it even reflects off the TV screen. I give you that. That is really annoying.
As PlayStation 3, you look up and it says, slot 1, 2, 3, 4.
That is nice.
So that was that was my reasoning for PS3 instead of PlayStation 4. But PlayStation 4 does have the sweet triggers on the back. They curve out. It just makes so much more sense.
Feels so nice.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. And that's just that's why it's in my number 2 though.
Yeah, when you're sitting a PS3 controller on a table, the buttons curve in and they kind of get a little press. PS4, you don't have that issue because they curve out a bit. When you press it down,
with the other PlayStation ones, I had issues because the buttons are almost similar. Because sometimes if I got really into intense moments, I kind of didn't fully realize which one I was over. Sometimes.
Yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to touch on was I don't it's not uncomfortable, the Nintendo Switch, but I definitely feel it's a little crowded, especially around the analog sticks. It's interesting that it made your top 5, and you think I just want to kind of go back.
Go for it. No, that's the point.
To me, the analog sticks feel kind of short, kind of stubby. I feel I can't get as much movement out of them. So you're actually a big fan of that, though.
Yeah, I kind of because I feel I can make more accurate movements with them, more sensitive moves with them.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just I like that. I do actually like that a lot because, like I said, I feel I can do much more slow moves, more accurate movements, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I feel because with that's why I also had issues with the older PlayStation controllers, the PlayStation 2 and 3s. I felt the analog sticks were way too high up for me actually. And some people say, it makes you more accurate, but for me, it just didn't make it as comfortable for me though. I like it lower because then my hands are closer together, my thumbs are closer to my fingers, and that's a much easier. That's more comfortable for me also to lay like this than with my thumb higher up.
Yeah.
Because holding my thumb higher up it takes actually more energy because your resting thumb is when it just rests on your hand. And that's what I liked about the Switch controllers, that the sticks were low and I just relax on them. And that's why I also had issues with the PS3 and the PS2 controllers because my thumb had to shoot up extra higher up.
Yeah.
And I feel with the PS4 it was actually lower, which was nice.
I will say I think that the lower analog sticks work when you split the controller into two and you're both holding them sideways.
Mm-hmm.
You still haven't sold me on holding both of them like with your hand playing one controller, but when we do split and play like Double Dragon or like Mario Kart, if that analog stick was higher on that small controller, that would be pretty weird.
Yeah, like I'm not just trying to sell it, and it's just my personal opinion. And apparently, it is better for it to be higher up, so you can have like you get apparently more sensitive movement. But that becomes way more uncomfortable for me. That's the thing.
Yeah,
especially for longer gameplays when you're playing for longer times.
All right, and then so one other thing with the Nintendo Switch is. This is totally an unpopular opinion.
Who cares?
Well, I'm not expecting anyone to agree with me. I just like to precede what I'm going to say with that because I know people are going to disagree. But I love that the Nintendo Switch doesn't have triggers on the back. I love that they're just normal buttons. I was gonna, for my PlayStation 3 controller, I really don't like triggers. I just like buttons. Yeah. And I was gonna say PlayStation 2 controller over even the PlayStation 3. And then I remembered, well, fuck, you got to deal with the wire versus the wireless, and that like the triggers or the wireless trumped the triggers essentially in that case.
Yeah.
But I fucking love that the Nintendo Switch doesn't have triggers. It's just the big back buttons, and like you know that you hit, and it just I don't know. It feels good when you just like when you're pushing those buttons, especially on the back, like.
You know they go, and I can totally get you, but I like having the triggers in the back. I like trigger. I'm a trigger guy.
I'm the trigger man.
Yep. Hey.
Hey. How you doing?
Finger guns. Snap to finger guns.
I don't know. Anyway, but that is one thing. That is a feature about the Nintendo Switch that most people don't like, but I think it's pretty fucking cool. They're just you'll know if you press the button, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Okay. That was your. No, that was my number 2.
Yeah, number 2 was PS3. Mine was PS4 for number 2. So we're on our number 1s.
Yep.
And my number 1 is the Xbox 360 controller. Okay. It just feels damn right. Everything in it, I love it. It's perfect. The button layouts, every button has a great purpose for it. The analog sticks are in a great position. Like, it just like I just had to get it out just to hold it, but just like the mesh like. It feels great because like you think it'd be not right to have the analog sticks not perfectly lined up with each other, like right next to each other, but it just fits just so nicely in the hands with them being in 2 different spots.
Yeah.
And the triggers, you're not a trigger guy, but I love the triggers just because they're nice and you know when you grab them, it fits your hands, your fingers get grabbed by the triggers and you're not going to slip off.
This is the Xbox One, not the Xbox 360.
This is the Xbox 360. Oh, Xbox One, sorry, yeah. They're the same model.
Well, you can tell there's a difference with the grip. The only reason I brought it up is because the Xbox One is my number 1 as well. So we may as well just share that.
But the grips are... I didn't know as much. Like I feel like they're pretty much the same controllers for me, almost. This is not the Pro controller, though. The Pro controller is like $120, though. And that's when it actually puts a full effect. You can actually change the sensitivity, apparently, in your triggers. So you can make them restrain you more and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's unnecessary. I just love the total difference between they call it the upper buttons bumpers. I love the bumpers layout. The X, Y, and B is perfect. The thumb pad always felt nice. Just the thumb pad, just solid clicks too.
Yeah.
I never really got that out of the PlayStation controllers. Just like with all the Xbox controllers, though, you always get that solid press, and like you said, you hit it. You know it registered.
Like I'm gonna hold it up to the microphone, but the bumper click.
Yeah, you just know it works.
It feels good.
Yeah, it's like a basic it's like flipping an old switch to turn something on. It's like
it's just crisp.
Yeah, and then it's like the back triggers don't do that, but they just slide in so nicely. It's so fucking good. So when you're accelerating, when you hit the full when you hit all the way down, it feels nice.
Yeah.
The buttons are perfect size. It just feels so good. Every time I hold it, it feels wonderful.
I know that we kind of I know that you kind of breezed over it, but I love just the indentations on the analog sticks. The extra grip and friction feels good.
It grabs your thumb.
Yeah.
Actually, I take that back. That is nice. I never fully realized that, but yeah, it's like when your thumb's in it, they're in there nicely.
Use an Xbox 360 controller, and it makes the world of difference. It's just like, yeah.
It's fantastically beautiful. I like it, and like what Ben was saying with the problem with the PS4, every button is utilized perfectly well. The weight is great. Never have issues with them at all. I've run down every single Microsoft controller to the ground. I'm not talking about second party controllers though, but like first parties, like I've run them to the ground. They usually last me fucking forever. They're a great piece of hardware, and they now have the ability to connect to your. I think they now, especially the Pro controllers, have the ability to connect to your computer's Bluetooth stuff.
Yeah, and that's another big feature I wanted to touch on is I don't have Bluetooth in my computer, but I can buy a Bluetooth adapter, hook it up to my computer. Like you can't. The process for getting a PS4 or any Sony controller hooked up to your computer, it's not like super hard, but it still is a bit more of a process rather than just having it hooked up, pressing the middle button, and starting a game like you would just normal
and it
Xbox.
Just works. It's just so nice.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. Definitely, I mean the versatility, the accuracy, everything about it, driving games, adventure games, action games, first-person shooters, every kind of game obviously has come out on the Xbox or on some Microsoft console, and obviously they don't have more than like one basic controller design. Like the controller works for everything.
Yeah, it's and every single piece of game that actually uses a controller, they usually always use the Microsoft controller.
Yeah,
the button layout, because they have X, Y, B, and A. While Sony has square, triangle, X, and circle. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that, but it's like you can always know that which one won when you go into a computer game, you switch controllers, or it starts with controllers and it says you press A. Majority of the time. You never really see a game say plus X unless they're originally a Sony game. But yeah, that's my number one is the 360.
Yeah, same. No, it's just...
Or one. Yeah, the one.
It feels good. Good size and all. So...
What's your number one? Was it also the 360?
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. It's Xbox One.
I do have honorable mentions.
Yeah.
One, since you brought up, and that's totally true, is the VR. The VR is actually a great VR controller, and plus it gets for me is that it's sturdy as hell. I've heard you saying I've seen two people throwing the controller, bashing the controller, and that thing still works with no issues. It's sturdy.
Yeah.
It's strong.
Well, it's not like fragile or anything. The headset's fragile, but it's like if you threw your Xbox controller across the room, as I'm sure many people have done. Like it's made out of plastic, but it's put together that like typically it can take the hit. You know?
It takes hits really nicely, and everything in it, just like these top five, it feels right in your hand. And in fact, like you said, with all the extra sensors, when your hand, it just falls into your hand, like it just rests in it. You don't have to grip onto it. It's just a nice feeling to it with the weight alone.
Yeah. Obviously you've got a headset on, so you can't see when you're grabbing it. But whenever I've been showing people VR in the last couple of weeks, you put on the headset first, and then I'm like, okay, hold out your hands. Here are the controllers. Like they never fidget over how to hold the controller. It's just like it slides. Yeah. Their hand slides right into place, and they're just like, okay, that feels really good. Like it works. You don't have to be like hold the button here, hold the button there. Like they all get, lower trigger, upper trigger, the two buttons on the top. Like it's really easy to explain to someone that can't fucking see it.
Which I'm gonna add too, just for this one, just for fun though. But I'm also gonna have worse controllers as well, and I'm just on my list. I do not like it at all.
Well,
I hate it with a passion. But I'm gonna what?
Well,
do you have any honorable
I've got one honorable mention.
Okay, so go for it.
But we can get to that. Sounds fun. We can get to that in a second. My honorable mention will just take a second. So this is obviously a very specific genre, but I think Guitar Hero, that controller. I was a god at Guitar Hero back in the day, and like my hands just knew where to go.
I was awful.
Yeah. Well, obviously it depends on how much time.
No, I'm just saying the opposite of it. Yeah, but it did feel good in my hands though.
Yeah, like the color scheme, the buttons. Like obviously it was supposed to feel like easy and rhythmic and whatnot. But yeah, like playing like dun 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 dun, like strumming the guitar, pressing the buttons. I never had to look at the controller to know where my hands were. Like I was that good and that comfortable with the controller. And obviously you can't use it for like anything else, which is why it's an honorable mention. But the thing that it did was great. And the other thing too is that I always considered the Guitar Hero controller, the feel, the materials, like the plastic and the size and whatever of it. I always considered the Guitar Hero controllers to be significantly better than the Rock Band controllers. Those ones felt way flimsy in comparison. But anyway, so that's all I wanted to get at.
Yeah,
for
and then I
mention.
have like one more, and it's a short one though. but the original Xbox controller, just for how monstrously big it was.
For like worst controller? Or?
No, I just love how big it was.
Oh,
but I
the
know not
Duke.
many people liked it a lot, but I loved it to death. I thought that was great.
They're coming out with the Duke for Xbox One. Like they're making a Duke controller that works with the Xbox
I
One.
might pick it up. But yeah, so my worst one though, I think I might get a lot of hate for it though, but it is the GameCube controller.
Yeah.
It is just the most. Not only is it the worst controller, but this is also like one of the most hideous controller I've ever seen to be like for a main console, like a main controller for a console. It was just awful.
Yeah.
Every single time I held it, I just didn't know what the hell I was doing with it. The buttons were just all like obnoxiously different sizes. Mostly all of them were way too big. The C button turned into an analog stick made no sense to me.
Yeah, the two different sized analog sticks were so weird.
It was just like photo button. People were like swearing that they loved it, and I would hold it and I'm like, what is this monster in my hand?
So here's the thing that's kind of funny. They made the GameCube controller button layout based on what they thought was the most comfortable and easiest to use.
Wow. They should have fired that guy.
Well, yeah, like notice the A button's really big, the B button's really small, the X and Y, like one is above and one's on the right. Like in terms of to know which button to press, in their mind they were like, oh, this is very easy. Press the big green button, that's A, like that's the button everyone's going to use. And so that's why it's that big in comparison to the others. And like it was just they did a lot of testing. They were trying to make the most comfortable controller or the easiest to understand controller. And it's clearly the worst.
Yeah, it's just awful. It just when I saw that, I never had a GameCube, but ever since I went to people's houses and I saw the GameCube. By the way, I love the games for the GameCube, but ever since I saw that remote control, I'm like, it's like Nickelodeon just shat out a controller from their ass.
I know
It's
it was bright purple, bright green, bright red. It was
Bright
gray.
yellow.
It was bright yellow.
with great mission to it. It was an eyesore.
The color scheme was atrocious as fuck. Oh my god, it was bad.
It was just,
What were they thinking?
it was just wow. And just a thing. Yeah, that's just my worst. Do you have a worst one for you, or does this?
No, I don't have any worse, but like there was the Z button on the top. Like they
Oh,
had one
I forgot about
bumper.
the Z button too.
They had one bumper.
It was like, just like I remember trying to play Super Smash Brothers in that, and I just didn't know what to do with my life. And like nothing made sense. Like what? Like with the funny thing was that the Nintendo 64 controller is also not a good controller either because how many different people hold it, you know? How I always hold the Nintendo 64 controller was that you hold the middle stick with your left hand and then you hold the right part of it with your right hand. That's how you hold it. You never use the left nub thing, the full left side.
Yeah.
And I always loved it when I see people grab the left side and try to reach over to touch the analog stick. I was like, you're adorable.
Oh my god.
But it is also the controller's fault, though. I give that controller worst first experience to handle it, you know? Honestly, that one didn't make much sense either, but...
Yeah,
that game-
N64 people like for nostalgic reasons, but the controller was dog shit.
Yeah, it was.
Whoever used the D-pad? in that-
Yeah, how it's like to use the left bumper, just like using if you hold it like how most people hold it, like you hold the middle part. It was really hard to hit the left bumper. You usually have to let go of your right hand and slap the left bumper to hit it.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost put that too on
Yeah.
worst controllers. Like
It is.
N64 is a great console, but goddamn, you didn't use half that controller.
Yeah.
Like that is bad design.
It's like they should
straight
have-
from the start.
They should have cut off the whole left side, and it would look weird, but it would make more sense for it.
Well, that's what they did with the Wii U, or with the Wii. If
Yeah.
you noticed,
That is
the
true,
Wii,
yeah.
the two nunchucks, one is just the
right
bottom,
part, right?
yeah, and the other part's the bottom part of the N64 controller, the curved part with the analog stick. Like that was
It
always
felt
kind of
good
funny.
to hold. Yeah, it was great. It was a better version than the 64 controller.
I don't know about that. Wii
Oh, yeah.
U, they
it
had
was
the
a better one.
It had the A button and the B button on the right hand, which was fine. But pressing the 1 and the 2 near the bottom of the controller was so
Oh, yeah.
fucking weird.
And if the game asked you to do it for a fast pace, like what? And like a lot of their games never picked which button was the dominant button to press. Some games what I mean by dominant to press, like what would you press more often?
Yeah.
Some games would say, oh, you're gonna hit B a lot. A lot of them are also, but other ones like, oh, you're gonna hit A a lot. So you can never figure out which one was like the dominant thing.
Yeah.
But with N64, the A button was always the dominant button, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and that's what I liked about the Switch. Well, I'm glad they kind of got rid of actual buttons on the like naming the buttons, because a lot of times they realize that a lot of people are going to be using either or, so they just said like oh, hit the right arrow one on your controller, which made sense.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the Switch definitely makes a lot of sense. Whenever I'm telling someone to use a certain button, it's like press the up button, press the down button.
Yeah, and they show you on the screen. It was so well thought out. And that's why I was like, with the Switch. The Switch is just, it's one of the more well thought out things for all their games, because all their games are so uniquely different, and yet they found a way to make it work for every single one, which I think is fantastic. Yeah, you seem to be disagreeing.
No. Sorry, I'm still thinking of the fucking GameCube
controller.
controller.
I just had to put it in there. It's like I had to have it worse because like I just despise the GameCube controller.
It is dog shit. Anyone that wants to defend the GameCube
Fuck
controller,
you. I'm sorry if you're listening to this and you want to defend it, but no.
You're stuck in nostalgia. I'll put it that way. Think of the color scheme first. Horrible. Think of the button layout. Terrible. All you're thinking about is how much you love Super Smash Melee or how much you love like Kirby Air Ride. You're not thinking of how fucking horrible that controller is.
And so like even though yes, Nintendo 64 was a bad controller, but only half size of the controllers are bad, but you never really used, so it was not a big deal. Because really the left bumper was replaced. You hit Z most of the time instead of the left bumper.
I think that N64 is worse than GameCube, but I mean, because the other thing to think about too is the analog stick. The analog stick on the N64 would break all the time.
Yeah, but how many hours when we were kids we were playing Nintendo 64 though? Like we'd be wrecking that controller.
Yeah, I mean that controller went through hell for sure.
Yeah, but but in the end though, I guess it is true that the N64 was worse, but at least it looked a lot more appealing than the GameCube.
It looked like a trident.
Yeah, it's great, loved it. But that is true. That might be more of a nostalgia. Like, because I remember trying to go back and playing GoldenEye, and that was just awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Talk about games that haven't aged well. Have you
fucking
played GoldenEye in the last year?
I played GoldenEye at least 2 years ago, and I remember just playing that. I was like, my imagination was fucking awesome.
I know.
My imagination was great back then.
You think of like these really cool shootouts in GoldenEye, when realistically it's like you see someone down the hall, you shoot at them. Oh, you can't hit them. Walk up until you can punch them and then shoot them.
But man, that multiplayer that was golden. That really started off the whole couch multiplayer.
Yeah, definitely.
That was the benchmark, for couch shooters.
I'm not saying that the game is dog shit back in the day, but it's definitely like
up dog shit now.
Yeah, up to current standards. Just don't try.
It was even dog shit maybe compared to the other games that came after it. It was dog shit compared to the other ones because they capitalized on top of it though. But I think it set a perfect benchmark though. It's like this is where a good quality game is at for at least gameplay and design. And then everything else was built on top of that, got better and better and better.
Yeah.
Anything below that was just shit, It's like, this is where you had to be at. GoldenEye was the gold mark, you're here or above. You don't go below this.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's disagreeing. GoldenEye back in the day was great.
Yeah. Finally get one comment on our thing. GoldenEye sucked back in the day.
No, GoldenEye was great back in the day. It sucks now.
Yeah. Perfect Dark. Do you remember Perfect Dark?
Yeah, I liked Perfect Dark more than
was awesome.
GoldenEye.
Because it had so much more. It was great, especially like AI.
It did, but that's a touchy subject. There's a lot of big GoldenEye fans out there.
Dude, are you kidding me? How can you like Perfect Dark totally monopolized too on the AI system too and multiplayer and all that stuff. In the mode where you can play the main campaign as a main character, and then the other person plays as all the bad guys. That was just fucking awesome.
I mean, on top of that too, the character creation, it was simple, but when you were doing multiplayer, you could pick a name, you could pick a body, you could pick a character's head that totally didn't match. That alone was a really fun part.
Yeah, it was great. The weapons were just as fun too.
Yeah, you could the laptop gun and all that.
I mean, that was my top 5.
The point being is say what you want. If you love GoldenEye, that's great. It was a pioneer.
It was a great game too.
But Perfect Dark came out a year later, and they added so much more onto it.
That was it. They just added more to it. It's not to say that, like we said, GoldenEye wasn't shit during the time. It just the other games came out, it just got old, and other games, got better, especially when we, with technology.
Everyone's gonna disagree with us on this one.
Fuck them. I don't care.
That's so funny. I mean, you're one in a million people that agree with me that Perfect Dark is better than GoldenEye. But yeah,
really, because I know for a fact, I love GoldenEye. I'll never never forget GoldenEye, but yeah, Perfect Dark was better because it just added more.
Mhm.
And the AI is like added way more A type of AI characters into, which I thought was so much fun. Like one of my favorite things to add to AI was like it would always go after the best player and all that stuff, or judge. And so if you killed him, he would hunt you down until it finally killed you. It was great. I love those bots.
Oh man.
Loved it. But yeah, so that's our top fives.
Yeah, I actually did we already run through it? I can run through it.
No, we haven't run through it yet because we hopped straight to worst honorable mention and worst. So,
Okay,
yeah.
so to do a quick recap and then we can move on. Mine top 5 is the original Game Boy, mouse and keyboard is number 4, Oculus Rift is number 3, PlayStation 3 controllers number 2, and Xbox One is number 1.
Mine was the keyboard and mouse, the Game Boy Advance, the first version, the purple rectangle. The Switch handheld was just a better version of the Game Boy Advance, especially added analog sticks. Then it was the PS4, and then the Xbox One for me.
Okay, so news story this week. I think we're still trying to hit our stride in general with the news story. It changes like every time.
It's news and topic.
Yeah.
That's it. It's because there's not always gonna be interesting news in the game world or the technology world, or at least to what we can find or what's interesting to us to talk about in the end. So I think I'm just calling it news/topic.
Yeah, that's fine.
And with this time we're doing movies coming out that we kind of want to see in 2018 are coming out.
Yeah, so obviously there's a whole lot of sequels. There's like an Ant-Man sequel. There's an Avengers coming out.
We're not doing all that because they're always out every year and everyone already knows about them.
Yeah, these are
Nothing against them, of course.
These are movies that they're it's like they might be based off of a book or they're original. They might be based off of a book, but they're original in the sense that they haven't seen a theatrical
they're
release.
not a sequel. They're not a number 2 or anything like that.
There's never been a film of it previously or anything.
I have to get rid of this one then.
So this isn't a top 5, but we pretty much wrote down a couple films, and if we just want to run through and kind of hype these films up and whatever, we can do that. So, Mike, I know this one's on your list. This is
Yep. Let me just check it off when you do it.
Okay, so it's Isle of Dogs, and so what it is, it's directed by Wes Anderson, and if you've ever, it pretty much
did he do Fantastic Mr. Fox?
Yeah. So
okay, yeah, fucking love that.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you're unfamiliar with Wes Anderson's style, he does a very film. How would you describe it?
Stock motion with instead of clay and everything like that, it's like almost like they're cadavers.
Well, that's okay. That's specifically Fantastic Mr. Fox, but I mean Wes Anderson as a director, he does these very like wide shots, not a lot of he does static camera movement where it doesn't move at all. Like if someone's gonna run across a field, it doesn't show like the camera in front or behind them. It just shows like them running from the left side of the screen to the right side or something. How do you fucking describe a Wes Anderson movie? But
just solid, no camera movement, just solid cameras with things moving within the camera's view. I guess.
and heavy on the dialogue.
Yeah, which I never fully realized until like maybe 2 years ago. Actually, maybe a while ago. It's actually when I realized when I loved Lucky Number 11. I love dialogue in movie. I love dialogue more than action in movies, surprisingly.
Yeah.
It just like, especially just like. I do like action. I like action dialogue or something like that. I don't know what's a way to put it, but it's like quick, snip, and like these. It's just funny and creative dialogue.
I love jokes that they don't emphasize it's a joke. Like I love a movie that you can watch a couple times and then you're like, oh, that was a joke there.
Yeah, I love like a lot of times there's just like these pauses too after someone says something. And that's when I notice like when there's just like a pause and they're just all just looking at each other. It's like,
yeah.
All right.
Dry humor. Dry humor is a big thing in Wes Anderson. But
like dry British humor, I feel like. Yeah.
So Isle of Dogs, it's a stop motion animation movie. As Mike was getting at, it's not necessarily clay. They use like real material. It's a weird way to put it. They use like hair. They
look like cadavers.
Yeah, I guess someone will watch it.
But not creepily. They give them life, but they are real things. They're not. Are they animated?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm sorry. They're not CGI.
Yeah,
animated.
they're not CGI. So like, yeah. So they're not CGI animated like that. They're just like, they're cadavers almost.
It's stop motion.
But they look really cute. They don't look dead or anything like that. It's a nice style.
But so I'll read the summary here. So Isle of Dogs. In the future, an outbreak of canine flu leads to the mayor of a Japanese city to banish all dogs to an island that's a garbage dump. The outcast must soon embark on an epic journey when a 12-year-old boy arrives on the island to find his beloved pet. So, like, the animals talk in this movie, or they can talk to each other. Like, there's a trailer out, so feel free to just go fucking see the trailer.
Yeah.
But so you can hear the dogs like have their conversation to each other, but the boy can't hear them. And essentially, it's just like these stop motion dogs on an island of dogs, and trying to help out this little boy to get off the island or to find his dog.
Which I think is great too about it is that the boy I think never speaks English. He just only speaks Japanese. At least it looks like in the trailer.
Okay, I don't remember that too much, but that would be
Yeah.
a cool.
And so all the dogs speak English, which is kind of funny. And I don't know if they have all the human characters actually speaking English at all. I know there's one girl that does, but everyone else seems in the trailer to speak Japanese, which will be a fun thing because you see it from the dog's point of view. So like even though that we can't speak Japanese, we're seeing it from the dog's point of view and all that stuff.
Yeah, but so that movie comes out March 23rd. I'm just seeing what else is here I can give you before we move on to the next one. Scarlett Johansson, Edward Norton, Bill Murray, they're all in that movie. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good wrap-up for the most part.
Yeah. Another movie that I saw, it's called, and Ben saw it too, it's called Mortal Engines.
This looks great.
It's based off of a book. Let me give the quick description of it. Mortal Engine is the first of 4 novels in Philip Ree's court of the same name. The book focuses on futuristic steampunk versions of London, now giant machines striving to survive in the world running out of resources. And what it means by giant machines, it means just these mobile cities that are moving around in open plains, eating like smaller towns and stuff to gather resources.
Yeah, think of like a tank, and then a city on that tank. Like,
yeah.
it rolls around as a car would or as a tank would, but there's think of like Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah, or have you ever seen Ben hasn't seen it, but it's like Waterworld, and it's just like these floating cities because the world is just all water, so people just live on these boats that are sometimes put together, or these like the villain has this whole entire oil tanker, and inside the tanker is just this whole entire city in each level and all that stuff. It's like that, but on land.
Yeah.
If you've seen Waterworld.
And I don't know, like, this just looks like a fun movie,
yeah.
Honestly.
And I'm just so excited about 2018 because like it seems like a lot of movies coming out this year are just fun, simple movies, which I'm so happy.
Yeah, no, I can definitely get down for that. This movie looks like a good movie to like go get drunk to and see. It just looks fucking wild.
It doesn't look bad. It just looks fun, but you know that there's no. It's not going to win an Oscar for storyline like that. It just looks like it's going to be fun. You know, you don't have to worry about. There's no undertone. It seems to. It just seems like it's going to be a great thing to watch, especially since it's apparently supposed to be in England. Because like the lace is like they are behind like this giant city tank thing chasing. Like, what is it? He goes like, it's London, and then it is like you see like London's thing playing. This is great.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, it's pretty much like pirate ships on land in tanks.
Yeah. You just see this giant thing shoot out these giant harpoons trying to nail this little
like a little town.
A little town. It's just so cool. And the town's moving super fast too. It just looks great.
Yeah, I don't know. So this movie comes out this movie is going to be out on December 14th this year. So it's going to be a while. But director is Christian Rivers. I don't know who that is. I thought the director was Peter Jackson, but Peter Jackson's actually a producer. So Peter Jackson is a part of the movie, and it just looks fun. Yeah. And the budget was $100 million too. I don't know.
Christian Rivers. Yeah, $100 million. Yeah.
I mean, the CGI looks pretty darn good in this movie.
Wow. Christian Rivers didn't make many movies, so he made a movie called The Theater, Minutes Past Midnight, and Dam Busters. Movies I never. So The Theater came out in 2015. Minute Past Midnight came out in 2016. Dam Busters doesn't even have a year on. I never heard any single one of these.
Yeah, it's all good.
No, yeah, it's like I have no problem with that at all. I like to see a new director. Honestly, I love seeing new things.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's Mortal Engines.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So next movie is based off of another book too. So Mortal Engines was based off of a book.
Yeah.
This is a book I read a couple years ago, but it's called Ready Player One.
Oh yeah.
And
I think everyone's heard that one by now too.
Yeah, it's been kind of hyped
Not
up.
knocking it one bit, but
Yeah, it's been hyped up a lot. But if I remember correctly, Steven Spielberg. Let me double check this.
what I like about that, it has so many references in it. It has like Back to the Future's car in it. There's Wreck-It Ralph in it. I believe I saw like the Doom guy. There's Predator I saw Predator in it. It had like so many different like movie guys in it, and a game is in it too, which I thought was pretty cool. They even had the biker from Tron in it.
Yeah, sorry, this summary is long. I was going to read it, but let me just take a snippet from it. So, the film is produced by Donald DeLine.
I can just tell you what the movie's about right now, actually.
Well, yeah, I mean, I read the fucking book. I could too. I'm saying that Steven Spielberg is a, I just missed it. He's a producer, I think.
I'm pretty sure that's how he got the ability to do all those movie titles and like all those movie brands in it.
Yeah, but either way, so the movie is pretty much based in virtual reality. It's a not post-apocalyptic, but it's like futuresque, but kind of a grungy future.
Yeah.
Like kind of trashy. And like kids go into VR and they do everything in VR. They get their education, so like they don't have to leave home too much. Everyone does everything in VR essentially because their life fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's basically like they're for the forgotten generation because there's nothing left for them except to be in VR.
Yeah.
And the VR world is beautiful, fantastic, and apparently looks like everyone has easy access to it as well.
Yeah. So pretty much in the movie, there's this kid. And
just a normal kid who's also down on his luck, nothing going from as well.
Yeah, like the plot of the movie is that in VR or in this virtual world, the creator of the virtual world died like after he made it, but he made this secret hidden in the world, and the world is like galaxies, universes, like
yeah, it's endless.
Yeah, it's huge. So like he could have hid this secret anywhere, and people have been looking for like 30 years or something, and no one's found it. But essentially, the prize for finding it, everyone knows, is that you get the company. Like
you get to choose what happens to the world, and you own everything.
Well, yeah, the company of the virtual reality world, which they, as Mike was saying, like it's like owning Google or something. Yeah. It's like owning Amazon.
Think of like, you ever seen the anime One Piece? It's One Piece, except in virtual world.
I never saw One Piece.
One Piece is that the world's famous pirate died, but before he died, he said he buried his treasure with like.
And so everyone's looking for it.
Everyone's looking for it.
Okay.
It's the same thing, except in virtual world, where in virtual world, in the computer world, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
So you're like your religion, in reality, your imagination is like whatever it's gonna be. You know?
Like the trailer in this movie looks super cool. As we were getting at before, is that they just have everything in it, like any kind of movie or game reference. Like the same way that you can customize a character in a game, you can get DLC. Like there's like character skin, like you can be Master Chief. There's like Master Chief.
Yeah,
there's like Battletoads.
Yeah.
There's all these different characters that are wearing different skins or they're driving different cars
together because they're just like ownership of these trademarks. But no, they're all in this movie. There's Back to the Future's car in it.
Yeah, the DeLorean.
There's the Terminator robots were in it.
The Iron Giant's in there.
The Iron Giant was in there. Yeah. So
yeah,
it just has everything in it.
I mean, the other movie looked fun, but this movie also just like.
So it's like, even if you don't like the style, like, I don't know if I would really. I think the movie's not gonna be good, but it'd be just cool to see all the different things in the same movie, though.
Yeah, it just seems like they had a bunch of rights for things that they got, and they were like, "What's the coolest thing we could possibly do with this?" And then they're like, "Oh,
it would make some sense."
They're like, "We have this book that uses a bunch of similar like themes," and they're like, "Cool, let's get Steven Spielberg on this project."
Yeah. I just really think, I don't think it's going to be the best movie ever, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Well, the book was actually, it wasn't the best. The book was, to call it dog shit would be a little too heavy, but the book was really preachy. It was weird. There was this, like, the kid was either agnostic or atheist. It wasn't a big deal, but there was, like, a couple paragraphs every once in a while where he's like, "Oh, you people who believe in God, you're so stupid." Yeah. And it was, like, such a weird...
Like, it's like some like goth kid wrote the book at some point.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It in books. It didn't go anywhere, and it was just like, okay,
that was pointless. Like, I could have just been fine. That paragraph didn't belong there.
It was just preachy as fuck. But pretty much, so Steven Spielberg, as he made this movie, they said that they're taking the general idea of the movie. Or of the book, where it's, virtual world, find the treasure, all that, and then they're doing their own thing with it. So nice. I'm very excited for this adaptation.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
that sounds because like I just hope they have fun with it. You know, I hope they don't. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited.
Yep. I want to find a release date before we move on to the next one. Okay, March 30th.
Okay, nice. Another one I saw was Rampage. That's just basically giant gorilla with The Rock.
Can we just not say anything more
No,
about it?
I don't want to say anything more about it. That's all it is.
Great, that's all it needs to be.
Besides that, then there is Pacific Rim Uprising. I know we said we weren't doing anything sequel, but it means Pacific Rim.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's fine, but yeah, that's something on there. It's on my list. But do you have anything else on there?
Yeah, I've got two more. One is
nice.
called Early Man, and Early Man is the people that did Chicken Run. You know, that stop motion animation.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So that's obviously, of course, when I bring it up, I can't remember the name of the animation company, but so they're super popular. And they're making this movie called Early Man. Honestly, the movie doesn't look that great, but they have made some amazing stuff in the past. And
yeah, I saw this with I saw the trailer of this one time on television, actually, a commercial for it.
Yeah, I didn't think it looked the best, but they've done some really fucking good stuff in the past. So I'm having it on the list. In case.
Yeah, it's a nice, unique style. You know, it brings back. I forgot what that movie was called. Chicken Run. There's also the guy that just looked like this. He had a dog. I don't remember.
Wallace and Gromit.
Wallace and Gromit. It's exactly that style.
It's the same dudes.
Yeah. So except it's with cavemen dealing with running into a more advanced society and all that stuff. It looks cute. Looks fun.
Yeah. So the movie comes out February 16th. And we don't need to say much more about it there. Like I said, it's not a movie that really looks that good, honestly, but the company is just known for really good stuff, so it could surprise. The last movie I want to talk about is called A Quiet Place. So this one features what's his name from The Office, John Krasinski. And wow, I just pulled it up, and John Krasinski's the freaking director too. That's wild. But it comes out April 6th. And what the movie is about is there's these, I guess from what the trailer has shown, is that there's these monsters, and they don't really show the monsters too much.
Oh, I saw this trailer. Yeah, so
it's really cool that they hide the monsters.
Yeah.
But the idea is that the movie's really quiet, almost to the point where it's a silent movie.
And you notice them all trying to be quiet. And they don't say anything to each other, but you just notice everything they do doesn't produce much noise at all.
Yeah, like the movie, it gives the impression, not post-apocalyptic, but post-human exists, or post-human superiority, I would say. Like, there's only a couple people left on the planet. You get the impression that that's the case. And they're just trying to be quiet. And the whole trailer, for the first 45 seconds of the trailer,
going through their normal day. It kind of speeds throughout their days and what they usually do.
Yeah, they're walking around. They're stepping in specific spots that won't make noise.
The games they play are really quiet. They don't make any noise.
Yeah, they use they're playing Monopoly in one scene, and they're rolling the dice on the carpet. They're all their pieces are fuzzballs and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then they all talk in sign language, so they don't even speak to each other. The movie's all very quiet. And then in the trailer, kid knocks over a lamp, and a fire starts, and they just immediately put it out, and they're quiet, and then you just hear roar, something's outside. It looks fucking cool. I don't know much about it. I don't want to know much more about it, but I'm so fucking jazzed for that movie. And I don't know if that movie's based on a book or anything else, but I just love the idea that sounds, as far as from what I can tell on my list, that sounds like the best, most original idea here. And I
totally agree. And that's what this list was here for. You know, that's why we wanted just to focus on, because there's no point talking about any other movies that's coming out with sequels and all that stuff. It's okay, it's another review, something like that.
Yeah. And I don't know. It sounds it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, same.
That's the cool thing about it.
And I was I can totally sit and watch this.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited for that one too. I completely forgot about that, but I remember as soon as I looked up the trailer, I'm yep, I remember seeing this, and I was super excited for it.
And there's going to be plenty of other stuff coming out this year. These are just the things, these are the big ones that we were able to find that everyone's already talking about. Obviously not every movie is already announced, but just stuff to look forward for this year.
Yeah, some unique movies actually which I'm happy because if you've been listening to our podcast, my biggest complaint about movies is not them being good, but them not being originals. You know, that's always been my problems.
Yep, that's always been a big thing for We Can't Co. is just originality foremost.
Just give us to it, please. I'd rather take a not so good original over something that's like a sequel to something, honestly, because it's just a new thing. I like seeing something new. So that's that.
Yep, and we can move on to games coming out here.
Yep, that works for me.
So I'll start if there's not an issue.
No, fine. Be a dick about it. Just jump right in on that.
So because we didn't do this last week, the two games that I want to talk about first are games that they're not coming out, but they came out on the 26th.
So what were they?
So two games are Dragon Ball Z Fighters.
Saw that. Not a big fighter fan of games, but that looks really fucking good.
The animation on the
looks like the show.
Yeah, the 3D, they actually make it look straight like the anime,
and the anime looks good too. You know, if you have never seen Dragon Ball Z.
I've actually never seen it. I wasn't going to talk much about it.
I'm just saying about the animation style of it. I'm just saying it's good animation style and it looks really good. And if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z, you should give it a look, especially if you like fighting games.
Yeah, I mean it just definitely this game was highly anticipated from what I can tell. It was shown at E3 last year, and I'm not going to pick it up. I'm not a big fan of the series, but I know a lot of people were looking at it. The other game that came out, which sounds awesome, but my to play list is like down the street and miles away, yeah. You know.
Especially for how many people got you some VR games as well. So you got a lot of things to go through, my friend.
I bought so many goddamn VR games. But this next game is called Monster Hunter World that also came out on the 26th, and it looks great. Monster Hunter games, they
always looked fun, and they've never really heard of a bad one, honestly. From what I've heard,
they're open world. It's
sort of open world. How do you know actually how they work?
Yeah, I played Monster Hunter so I don't know. It was on the Wii U. I played it for like a little bit.
You always start in a village, and you can never leave the village until you start a mission. And when you start a mission to pick a certain creature to hunt, they put you in the map that they're in, and it's always the same map usually. And then you just have to hunt them down that map. There are different levels, but then once you put in the level, you can attack the position any way you want. So it's like, I guess it is still open world, but you're also on a time limit too in those worlds to complete the mission.
Yeah, so you take that contract, and there's always like the way that you find the monster. It's
each one's a unique way to get them, to find them, or to have them come out. Sometimes.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's not just like go here, kill this thing.
Yeah, like, it's very unique. Each one, there's some uniqueness to it. Mm-hmm. There are some where you can just go up to them. You know, you can go up to their nest if you know where they're nesting. With some of them. But yeah, it's a really good game. A lot of people like it, especially if you're a loot person. If you love loot and all that stuff, and getting all that stuff, that's the game for you. I highly suggest it for you then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's Monster Hunter World. Games that are coming out in the next week here. Mike, you can go first because I just said those.
One is for Ben. It's called Becoming Homeless: A Human Experience.
Oh, thanks, bud.
Yeah, it is a VR game where you play as a person who becomes homeless, and you just, that's all you do. You just try to survive, you know, either selling all of your stuff to keep your rent, or just losing your place and just surviving on the street.
Do you suck dick for crack?
You might be able to. They don't give you much explanation about it.
You just come over to my house one day and I'm on my knees in VR, just just Ben, what game are you playing?
I gotta pay rent.
I got a mouth to feed, Mike.
and not right now. So I just saw that was pretty funny, just because I know you have VR. But then another game I came across that comes out actually the 30th of January, so just in 3 days. And then Ben, when we were looking up, we were kind of looking up these games together. But Ben came across this, and we saw Battery Jam.
Yeah, Battery Jam. That one looks fun. It looks fun for like a day. So,
yeah. But I don't think it's gonna be that expensive to begin with. It's a simple party game, you know. When I say party game, I'm like Super Mario Party, Super Smash Brothers, where you just play with. You play with other people in the same room. And here's the description of it: use the moon box to smash your opponents, capture their tiles, and dominate the arena. Take on your friends in Battery Jam, a local multiplayer game of competitive tutorial mayhem, coming to early access January. So it's kind of like that Nintendo Switch game, Squid, or what's that game called? with it when you play as a squid or a kid.
Oh, Splatoon.
Splatoon, where the main objective is to make the area the same color, like you paint the area your color.
Yeah.
This is the same way, but you do it by sliding these blocks around, and you can kill opponents by slamming into them, all that stuff, or other stuff. And of course, if you kill them, they explode into that area into your color. And then you do it in a certain amount of time. At the end, whoever has the most color, who owns the most of the tiles wins.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a game that I would play for more than like a week, but I mean, if I was having some friends over and we were looking for something new, I'd pick it up.
This game looks fun playing drunk.
Yeah.
Too.
So
like this definitely does not look like a $30, $60 game though.
I would pay like $7 max for it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it looks fine, but I think it would just get boring pretty quickly.
Yeah, I totally agree, but it's still something that looks interesting and fun though.
Yeah.
A good like party game when you have people over.
Mm-hmm.
And then so that comes out January 30th as well. It's also just a note, an early access. I usually don't put it up on there, but it was kind of good enough that I was like, all right, it's a $7 game, so it's not bad. Another game that came out that I came across looks really interesting though. It's called Milanoir. It's Milanoir. And it's called, and here's the description of it. Inspired by the Italian crime flicks of the 70s, revered by Quentin Tarantino, Milanoir is a pixel-packed action game set in a violent city of Milan. Come meet Paro, a convicted suddenly released from prison looking for revenge or the man who framed him. It is, I would say, maybe not pixel graphics, but kind of like well-designed pixel graphics. And if you ever, it just looks really interesting and fun. It's a story-based game, one player, and the shooting in it, the action is in it look really good, and I'm pretty excited for it. But all it said was fall 2017, so I'm going to keep my eye for it though, because I'm definitely going to pick it up.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look like it's going to be a long campaign, but it looks like it's going to be a fun one and something nice to play.
I found a game called Far Lone Sails, and excuse me, sorry, my throat. This game is the summary is traverse a dried out seabed littered with. Sorry, my screen. Okay, sorry. Traverse a dried-out seabed littered with the remains of a decaying civilization. Keep your unique vessel going, overcome numerous obstacles, and withstand the hazardous weather conditions. How far can you make it? What will you find? So, this game is a side-scroller. It's 2.5D, I guess is what people are calling it, where it's 3D, but you can only move left and right. But what it is you get this machine that you can jump in and out of. It's just like it's a locomotive, it's an automobile essentially. It's big, it's hunky, it's kind of like it's just like a big hunky car. And you drive it, you have to maintain it. Think of like Faster Than Light.
I was
almost.
just going to say that. I was really just waiting for you to finish to just get a description of it.
Yeah. So you go to like different rooms and different areas inside your vessel. Like when you go into it, it does like a section cut through it, and you can see all the rooms. And like one's the engine room. If the engines overheat, you've got to like cool them down. One is like the steering room or something, and you got to like go in and out of this and maintain it while also traversing it through this area. So like you'll have to get out of your vessel. You'll have to like lower a drawbridge, or you're gonna have to like find a way to
for stuff.
Yeah. So pretty much it's just getting this vehicle as far as you can, but it's always breaking down on you. There's always obstacles to go over. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks, and I loved Faster Than Light, and it looks like it's gonna be the same type of gameplay where you just have to get to the end of the game. It might be, I guess you would call it a roguelike, quote unquote thing. And so it's like, it looks like you're gonna have to do multiple attempts to get to the end and all that stuff. You get better the more you play.
Yeah. So that comes out. Okay, well, the couple dates, we typically try to find games with specific dates, but just because it's slow lately, we're kind of reaching a little further out. So this game just says it's coming out in the first quarter of the year. So keep an eye out for it. I think it looks good, but maybe it'll get stuck in development hell or something. Maybe it won't come out for 3 months.
Add that to my list because that looks interesting, and I just don't want to forget it.
Yeah. So that's Far Lone Sails.
Lone Sails.
Let's get rid of those ones. I've got 2 more games. Mike, did you have?
I had nothing left.
Okay.
I didn't really see anything else that piqued my interest.
Sure. So these next couple games, they are also games that I don't think specifically have a date for them. On Steam, if you're checking out the upcoming games, they'll typically say like January 30th or February 28th. Like they're more or less shooting for a month rather than a specific day. So like, you know, today we're recording on January 27th. Like these days or these dates, they don't necessarily mean that the game's coming out this time, so I've got reason to not believe it. But anyway, getting past that, this game's called Battle of Kings VR. It comes out January 31st, but once again, I think that's kind of a soft date. It sounds like a soft date. And the summary is, the time of war has come. Take command of your kingdom and use your strategic skills to defend the siege against your fortifications. You can't win only by defending your kingdom. Develop your economics. Assemble and upgrade your army to defeat the enemy forces in a real battle of kings. So it's a VR game. It's also a tower defense. And there's been a couple tower defense VR games that have come out before, but this one specifically looks like it's got a little more polish than the others. I know a lot of VR games that just look like demos for the most part. Like, this looks decent. And, yeah, I don't know too much more about it, except that I fucking love tower defense games, so that's why it's on the list. And the last one, I think, is the one that I'm most excited about. This is called Wizard of Legend.
Oh, yeah. I remember, yeah, we saw this together.
So, this game looks like Enter the Gungeon. The graphics look like Enter the Gungeon. It's kind of like pixelated. There's a lot of particle effects, though. To read the description, it goes, Wizard of Legend is a fast-paced 2D dungeon crawler where you assume the role of a powerful wizard on his quest to fame and glory. Use quick reflexes and powerful spells to become a Wizard of Legend. And once again, so this just says it's coming out in early 2018. It doesn't really give a hard date for it, but it's like the spells that you can cast and everything look really good. Whenever you're like attacking and shit like that, I mean, it's like all over the place here. It looks wild.
Nice. The style looks really good and really fluent too.
Yeah, it's fast as hell too. I mean, just the gameplay, like
there's co-op in it, which is nice.
Whenever you play a magic game, it always feels really slow, you know? Yeah. It's like you gotta sort through your spells and whatnot. This one looks like he's all over the place. It looks fucking dope.
Yep.
So yeah, that's the last game there. Our next week's top 5 is going to be cosmetic editors. So, cosmetic editors, that's like when you can do a character editor, but more or less not like facial features, not hair, not like weight, not size, but more like the ones that have the most customization in like clothing or accessories or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
So that's going to be our next week's top 5. I'm trying to think of what else is going on here. I'll be playing some more Breath of the Wild in the next week. I'm also gonna try to see. I'm in like a movie watching mood lately. I think I'm gonna try and see if I can watch something else. I don't know.
We've been talking about to try to see if we should rent it to see the special features of that.
Yeah, we should do that. That would be great.
I'm dying. I'm like not dying to, but I'm still always in the mood to see it. Surprisingly, I have no idea why, but that movie is golden.
Yeah, it was good.
And then but that's it for Weekend Code. Thank you for sticking with us, and we'll see you next week.
Yep, see you next week.